Ah, Zelda. Peaceful, magical, and full of bokoblins. Nothing could ruin this. What is this? Where's the grass? Where's the cooking? And why is Link hacking a vending machine? And why do I want it so badly? Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Zelda game that we all know is coming to the Switch 2. But what could it be? We already had Breath of the Wild, which took Zelda, a very linear puzzle-solving adventure series, to a open-world format, collecting all kinds of Korok seeds and fighting off all these bokoblins, right? And, it's fun. It's fun. I love Breath of the Wild. And even Tears of the Kingdom, I think, really expanded on just what you could do with that kind of format of game. Although, it still had its problems in which, me personally, the storytelling was a little awkward, running around to the 4 areas in the world. Your Death Mountains and Gerudo Deserts. Infiltrating Hyrule Castle for a final showdown with Ganondorf. I've done it all before. We've been doing this since Ocarina. This whole Ganondorf storyline where he, people don't know he's evil, and then he kind of shows up, and then he's just takes power, and you have to go, either get the Triforce, or, you just go straight to his castle in Breath of the Wild. But, it's getting old. And, we didn't always have these games taking place in Hyrule. For example, like Link's Awakening, it takes place when Link's sleeping, as well as other Game Boy games. And, I think it's time for a new Zelda game. I think it's time we go somewhere that isn't Hyrule. We get a story without Ganondorf. Or, if Nintendo didn't want to do that, if Nintendo wanted to keep to the usual structure of a Ganondorf and a Zelda, how do you make that unique? And I think I know how to make Zelda, the traditional Zelda story format, unique. And I think if we had a Cyberpunk Zelda game taking place in the future and sci-fi, right? It could still have, your fantasy elements. You could still, use Din's fire, right? There could still be magic in the world, totally. I mean, you can have magic with sci-fi. But just imagine, you turn on your Sheikah sensor and you can see all the enemies in the room, and you, highlight them and you pick them off with your gun instead of a bow and arrow. Give me a laser master sword, like some kind of Jedi. Link swinging around his Master Sword, and maybe Ganondorf shows up, and he's on they're on the metro, and they fight in a train. That would be so cool. I would love to have a Zelda in this kind of setting. You could have Zelda. She's maybe a CEO's daughter, and Ganondorf is a evil corporate warlord. Trying to. You get the Triforce. You could still have the Triforce in this sci-fi world, this cyberpunk setting. Maybe the people around, this Hyrule, this cyberpunk Hyrule, could have, they maybe have stories passed down to them, like we've had before, but they just they don't really believe in that stuff anymore. But but it's actually just secretly real, and Link still has a Triforce on his arm, and. It's you could do so much with that kind of story. You could bring back the lazy Link, he starts off waking up like he always does, and he has a Triforce on his arm one day, and he's like, what is this? And then he finds out he's a really important person, and he's the new hero for Hyrule, and he's maybe he doesn't want to do it, like Wind Waker Link, but then he like comes to terms with his like role in the world, or maybe the story could be about, something else and like becoming what you want to be. There's a lot you could do with that kind of world, and I think I mean, honestly, I just want to ride around on my Master Cycle and collect Korok seeds all day. But yeah, a Cyberpunk Zelda, I would play. I would love that. And I think you would too. You know, tell me what you think in the comments. But there's also, you know, the more realistic outcome. We still get a new Zelda game, but please just put it somewhere else. You know, we don't need to climb Death Mountain every time. You know, I want a new world. I want a new continent to explore. Zelda could have so much more in store lore-wise, and just, you know, what you could be doing. And I think they really limited themselves when they made Skyward Sword and making every Zelda game this defeat Ganon story, where I think, you know, there's just a lot more you could do with Zelda. And, you know, what I kind of liked what Echoes of Wisdom did. Now, Echoes of Wisdom did have that open Zelda format where you're going to the four corners of the world. You know, once again, Death Mountain, Foron Woods, Gerudo Desert, and the other place that I think it's you go to the Zora. They brought back the Zora, like the River Zora, and that was cool. But something interesting they did is, instead of having Ganon be the villain, we were introduced to a brand new Void villain who's like going around putting Void everywhere. and you go into the Void and do Void stuff in the Void. You know, it was different. It was different. Personally, I wasn't huge. You know, I wasn't like invested in this Void villain, but yeah, apparently he existed before everything in the entire Zelda universe, and the goddesses in the Zelda universe, like, created the overworld to seal him away, which I think is interesting. And I think, you know, the next Zelda game could really use, you know, just a brand new set of villains, I don't know, goddesses, or just something, you know, I want something new. I really think Zelda could deserve something new. Now, you know, I wouldn't be upset if it was Zelda in Hyrule again, and you have to save her, and also Ganondorf, and also, you know, I wouldn't mind it, but, you know, I think it could really just set the precedent that Zelda is this thing only, and we're never ever gonna have something unique, and that would not be that's not what I want, and I don't think you guys want that either. You know, I think if you guys have a new idea that Zelda could do in the comments, you know, like, tell me, because I want to see what you have to say. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and have you guys have a good one.